Whoa!
Scott, I don't know if I had that intro last time you were on because you were on pretty early in this series.
Right.
Hey,
no, actually, I've never been on 10-1-1.
Was it only the hot seat?
Yeah, I was in a hot seat.
Hi, everybody. This is Gary. Welcome to
Yeah.
10-1-1. He's
Right.
not feeling well today, so he's out of sorts and hasn't even introduced himself yet as he
I
goes
know.
live. Today, we have a very special guest, Scott from Hoarders Hide. How you doing, Scott?
Yes,
I'm
apologies.
phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
apologies to
And
everyone.
with me,
Phenomenal.
as always, is on Tuesdays is my man, Rob Fat Stax, with the fattest stacks in the land. And, of course, joining us today, Steve, the Voice White.
Hey. Good evening,
And the man
everybody.
of the hour,
Gary.
the man of the hour, Scott. And I'm going to apologize to everybody in the crowd right away. I am sick as a dog. I'm barely even talking to you guys. I'm going to be muted most of the show as I cough and sneeze and hack. But I got two great guest hosts that are going to help me through it, and we got a fantastic guest. Scott, before we say hi to the chat, we're going to do the 2-minute drill with you. Let them know who you are, what your channel's about. We'll go say hi to the chat, and then we'll come back to you for your first book, sir.
Okay. Scott, Hoarders Hide. I'm mainly about the original art nowadays. But as you can tell behind me, I've got a book or two. And I'm gravitating towards gold. Specifically Dell, but anything gold, it's hard for me to pass up. So that's basically what my channel's about. Although lately it's been pretty lackluster. I've been pretty busy and haven't been able to put out the content I'd like, but hopefully that'll change. I can catch up with you guys.
Right. Do you plan on bringing back your 7.5 questions at any point?
Yeah, I would love to, but I've got to get myself in a position where I can do that on the regular. It's hard to just try and wing it and throw them together and not put them out on any regular schedule. So,
right.
I really enjoyed doing that segment for the 8 or 10 weeks I was able to string it together, but it's a lot of commitment. I can't imagine how you guys who do these regular shows can pull it off. It's just amazing to me.
It's
we
a lot of
forsake
fun.
our children and our wives for our dedication to everyone else.
I don't have any children or wives or girlfriends or any of that. I just
already
got too many
forsake them
jobs,
for.
I guess.
No, they need to have to forsake. I don't know.
All right, we'll say hi to the chat real quick. We have first did as always Las Cruces. How you doing tonight, James? Nice to see you. We have Brad Wellbore. How you doing, Brad?
Brad.
Our co-host Steve White.
Yes.
Yep. Then we have Doug Bratton's in tonight. Doug, nice to see you. And again, my apologies to everyone for my voice. Tina, how you doing tonight, Tina? The best Blu-ray. Yes, sir. One of my favorite people ever, Jerry the Jitterbug.
Jerry. Jerry.
We have my buddy Digger Jim. You'll see him here on Thursday night. And Psychedelic Comics, Paul, how you doing? We have Son of a Bruce, Chris from Retro Rocket Comics. How you doing, Chris? Nice to see you, buddy. All right, and we'll say hi as more people come in here as they're getting their notifications. Got a good little crowd brewing already. So, Scott, let's take it back to you, sir, and let's start out with your first book.
Oh, got to get a frosty beverage going first.
Right?
Yes, the Zoa Wild Orange.
Excellent.
Plug out to Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Not that he needs any plugs.
Right.
Oh, maybe these hair plugs.
Bald is beautiful.
There.
All right, here's my first book. The Pro.
Yeah.
Nice. I just read that a couple months ago for the first time.
Came out in 2002. Garth Ennis was a writer. Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palmiotti. What's not to love about this? This was back when I was ordering direct from Diamond, and it was one of those, kind of a cover buy basically. It's, again, why wouldn't you? And just loved it. I was so disappointed that it was one shot and nothing else was ever done, and until recently when they kind of revamped it in that Image anthology book they put out. So, but it was good enough, and they've had lots of reprints, as you probably know. So I got 2 copies of the first issue. Then the
There you go. Sign.
Nice.
signed, and it's the we're not politically correct tonight, are we?
No.
It's the more expensive than a hand job limited convention edition.
Nice.
Is that the honest
Excellent.
name? Is that the honest name or the name that you came up with?
No, it's more expensive but cheaper
Okay.
than a hand job.
It's
Got
on brand for the book.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And that's so it came signed like that. That was
That's
I'm
awesome.
not sure where.
Now,
Then
Scott,
like second printing, third printing,
Jeez.
yeah,
fourth,
this has had like 8 printings, hasn't it?
fifth, sixth,
Wow.
It's not too risque.
seventh.
And this book got hot for a little bit too, didn't it? Not too long ago.
It's actually it was optioned,
Oh, that's why. Yeah. Suddenly everyone went.
but this was
berserk
back
again.
in like 2017, and they had a writer assigned to it for a screenplay, but then that's kind of where it died.
Yeah.
And then the hardcover.
Now,
Again, it's
CJ and I
fine.
were talking, and we think that this will probably end up on Amazon at some point.
It should. They could do a lot with it. It's reminiscent of the boys.
Movie.
It's reminiscent of the boys, but this actually came out 4 years before the boys hit print.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's kind of the same vein.
And it's a pretty in your face read, but it also has a story arc. Like there's a complete arc for the character in that book.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that a prostitute with a baby that gets superpowers can put together an arc, but they managed to pull it off.
Right, and they managed to make you care too.
Oh.
All right, good first pick, Scott.
All right.
Cool.
You know what? And thank you. That's the first time I've seen all the printings.
And
It took me a little while to put them all together because a couple of them are on the low side.
as in far as in low print runs, eh?
Low print runs, yeah.
Yeah. Is it the later print runs that are the ones that are harder to find, like the 7?
Yeah, they get progressively harder. With the exceptions, I think it's maybe the fifth. One in the middle is actually the shortest print run. It's the fourth or fifth.
It is a really cool book. I've never read that one. Rob, have you seen that one before?
Oh yeah, I do stuff through Paper Films, which is Amanda Connor's site all the time because I love Amanda Connor's work.
Oh, Paul's got it. Okay, he knows what it's about. Phil, Kevin, and oh, wrong one.
You get no more Gesundheits. You used them all up.
You know what? I tell people just say "bless you" for the day because it's just easier that way.
Right.
All right, number 2, Scott. Great lead-in, and I'm sorry for my.
All right. Again, that one was from 2002 when I was ordering direct from Diamond. And now we're going to jump back to 92.
Ooh.
Going backwards in time. Excellent.
Unity Zero. The free Valiant book that kicked off, the Valiant craze back in the 90s. So this is from when I was in college and
Not sure.
got conned into going to an LCS with one of the guys on the floor. And, it's
Hey, Scott.
all
if you're
turned into what I got back here behind me.
Scott.
Ah, God damn it. There we
He's
go.
on it. He's on it. There we go.
I'm looking at the wrong screens.
Yeah, I knew you thought you were sharing. But
Yep. Yep. I got too much shit in front of me.
look at
There we
Magnus right up front as he should be.
Now you're a big
Yep.
Valiant fan too, aren't you, Scott?
Yeah. This is Valiant's what really got me back into the hobby. I say back into it. You know, everybody was into it when they were a kid, more or less. But
Yeah.
this is what got me into collecting. You know, as a young adult and moving forward. Walked into the LCS and looked at all the books on the shelf, and I don't think there were very many issue number ones or you know, good hopping on points at that time. And the LCS owner said, well, here's this. And then he said, and I think Eternal Warrior 1 and Archer and Armstrong were one. There were a few in succession available with the chapters. He said, I'll give you this free one, and then you can buy chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. You know, and now you got a good starting point. And they have smart marketing on their part for sure.
So just like the drug dealer, he gave you your first one for free, and then
He gave me my first hit. Yep.
Oh wow,
That's how they get
man,
you.
what a sucker you were!
And it was all downhill from there,
Right.
or uphill, depending on how you look at it.
Are you a big Jim Shooter fan too, then, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily a Jim Shooter fan as his entire body of work, but as far as everything he did with Valiant, absolutely. You know, as far as the rest of his work, yeah, I guess I could take it or leave it. It doesn't, kind of indifferent to it, but
Yeah,
when
but
it
he was
comes to-
kind of Valiant for a while.
yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
you're
you know,
very-
after Marvel and before Defiant or whatever else he decided to start when he got drummed out of Marvel.
What was your favorite hero at Valiant?
Eternal Warrior or Archer and Armstrong.
You know, I hear a lot of people say Archer and Armstrong. It seems like a really underrated series.
Yeah, because it was kind of the most out of the ordinary. You know, it was sort of like, you know, the odd couple of superheroes. I'm sure it's been done before and been done since, but it was my first experience to, you know, a superhero odd couple.
Nice.
And it worked really well. And you know, Barry Windsor Smith did the first few issues there. So, you know, when you're you know, when you get to experience his artwork for the, you know, in the beginning of a series, you know, that's a really good jumping on point.
Oh, definitely.
He did a bunch of the Bloodshot books too.
Yes, yeah. Well, he did a lot for Valiant in the day.
He did.
You got Chuck saying that the recent Archer and Armstrong was the best since the original. All right, nice. All right, number 3, Scott.
Oh no! Don't drop the beer.
Oh,
No, that's an energy drink, Tal.
yeah. I don't think there's any comics in the way. All right, number 3.
Forget the electronics, save the comics.
That's
Right? Don't make me laugh, Rob.
Oh, challenge accepted.
Don't
Number
kill
3.
Gary on his own show.
Quick, don't give
Oh.
Gary a mirror. He might crack up.
Right? Guardians.
Guardians of the Galaxy number 25.
That's
Ooh,
a nice
foily.
shiny, foily cover.
Like a hollow foil. Yeah, all sorts of stuff going on in that one.
Nothing
Yeah, they
says
pulled it all out for
90s.
that.
It's got to be a 90s book.
Oh yeah,
It is. It was so Unity 1 was like August of 92. This is June of 92. And again, this was at that same LCS in college, and it was
Nice.
sitting on the shelf, and it, you know, just a straight cover bot. And I honestly couldn't tell you a thing that happens in the book, but I just remember this as being the first kind of gimmicky cover that drugged me in. And then also the first time that I realized there was a difference between newsstands and direct,
Oh, okay, nice.
Yep.
because I randomly saw the newsstand a few weeks later on a spinner rack somewhere. So,
And it's less
and I
shiny.
said, well, that must be a misprint. And then somebody explained to me, no, then the newsstand is just not foil like the direct. So,
Probably a little rare too.
that I don't know. I don't think so.
For the 90s,
I'll say the
probably was.
90s they were going away from newsstands, weren't they?
Yeah, they were more directs then.
Yeah, I've never looked for print count on them, but I know that though neither of them are worth that much, the foil carries just slightly more value.
Yeah, typically I remember that was the thing is the foils and stuff, they would do that to try to actually get you to go to the direct market shops to buy them.
Right.
Everybody
Mhm.
wanted those gimmicky covers and stuff. Those were only there at the newsstands, which were, I mean, you still had them a fair amount in actually the early 90s, but they were definitely not as prevalent as they were 10 years prior, that's for sure, or 10 years before
Yeah.
that.
Just
Yeah,
a
but
pain
it's a
in the
great
butt.
cover either way.
You want them in high grade too, because you can't press
Yeah.
those bloody books at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Valentino, Valentino art, Jim Valentino cover. So
And Trev's saying that it looks like it's embossed as well as foil. Is it the foily one embossed and
the
foil, or
foil, it's again, it's not really embossed, but it's
it's just different, got layered texturing?
right. It's sort of textured.
Got it.
Yeah, I actually never saw that cover before, Scott. And I thought I saw most of the foily goodness.
That's a cool one.
Surfer's got them quantum bands.
Right? Rick, how you doing, sir? All right, nice. Number 4. That's a cool
All right,
one.
and
Cover I've never
and
seen.
we're sticking with the 90s.
Ooh.
Ooh, great skull
Spectre
cover.
number 1. This is what's put me on my deepest rabbit hole.
Uh-oh.
Really?
With this book.
And
Now
that rabbit hole was?
the Spectre.
Uh-huh.
To own every Spectre.
Every Spectre ever created,
Yes.
every issue, every book has ever been
that's
in.
the Scott I know. Good boy.
I'm still working on it. But again, this is 90. This was December of 92 when this came out. Tom Mandrake art, John Ostrander story. This is still my favorite run all time.
Oh.
Is this Spectre series?
Is that one a glow in the dark?
Volume 3.
Yeah, Bobby DeLughetto saying that's glow in the dark cover
Multiple
too,
people.
Scott.
Yes.
So,
yep.
yeah.
Glow in the dark.
Excellent.
in the
Radioactive. Beautiful.
And this is all. I'm just turned 50, so I always say my memory's starting to get a little weak. But this is part of my amalgamated memories. I would bet you any amount of money that I got all 3 of these books the same day my first time into that shop.
Wow.
And there's probably not much chance that actually happened based on their publication dates.
Now, if I
And
saw
I
that
really
cover,
can't remember any other trip into the shop other than the first time I went there. So all those memories just kind of balled up together, and that's what it comes down to. But
I mean, if I had seen that cover and I was in the shop, I would buy it. That's a great cover.
Absolutely.
yeah, it was. And then I read the story, and then I was hooked after that.
And a number 1 issue too, so it's perfect. Good jumping on point.
Now, how long did that
Start-
Yeah.
particular series go, Scott?
62 issues,
Oh, that's a pretty good run.
plus an issue 0 and an annual.
Nice.
That's a
Yeah, it was a
respectable
long
run.
run. Lots of great guest artists on it, or guest cover artists, and a few guest interior artists throughout. The majority of it was all Mandrake and Ostrander.
Wow. Very cool. Who was the writer on that one?
John Ostrander.
Okay.
So you read this series, then you had to go get his earlier appearances.
Oh. That could be an expensive
Right.
rabbit
This
hole.
was also, yeah, kind of my first introduction to older Golden Age stuff. I started researching a little bit and picking up some of the Silver Age, and if I only would have went for more Golden Age back then.
Are you having trouble finding Golden Age?
Some of it, yeah. Depends on what I look for. The key is if you're looking for all-star comics or more fun comics, yeah, they're tough to find. Unless you're going to pay through the nose for them.
Mhm.
The random gold.
Yeah, locked away in people's collections.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, most people are sitting on those issues and not coming off of them.
It's like people built up a giant hide in which they hoard things in, and they don't let anybody else have them.
I wonder if we know anybody like that.
Don't know anybody.
Wouldn't know what you're talking about.
So we got Chuck saying that Silver Age Spectre had Neil Adam covers.
Yes. Yep, sure did. I was able to pick up some of the Jack Adler proof covers to a couple of the Neil Adams covers.
Now, I know you chase original art, that you're a big OA original art collector. Do you have any Spectre original art in your collection, Scott?
Yeah, 70-ish.
Oh, so just a smidgen.
Just
Yeah.
a little bit. Just
Yes.
a tasting.
Yeah, a couple of covers and then a lot of pages wherever I can find.
It sounds like we need to do an original art show with you one day, Scott.
I kind of, when I was putting my list together, I was trying to decide if I was going to include any books that I had actual OA from, and I did, but I saved that for the end, even though I didn't plan on showing any art from it. I just happened that way. I only put one book in that I had art from.
Nice. All right, number 5, good sir.
Yeah.
All right, now we're getting weird. We're getting freaky.
Freaky.
All right, let's do it. Yarn Man.
Yarn Man.
Holy cow.
I'm infatuated with this book now. I don't even know how I found out about it. I think it was from Dave, Mark Spector Comics. I think he was talking about it on a stream, or maybe he opened a book up on a stream. And I'm like, oh, I got to fucking have that. And I'm up to 8 or 10 issues now. Whenever I see them, I pick them up. If I see them on eBay, they're in one of my saved eBay searches. And when I can,
Damn, how many Yarn Man books were there?
What?
How many Yarn Man books were there?
Yeah, I don't know I think there was only one issue.
Okay.
His first appearance was in, I want to say, like Savage Megaton Man number 5 or number 3. It's a Don Simpson character.
Wow.
And he was just in a couple of panels in that Savage Megaton. And then he got a book, Kitchen Sink. They're good at printing stuff like this.
He looks like he has the sock. Oh, black.
All black and white too. Nice.
Yeah.
Who's the publisher for that book?
Kitchen Sink.
Okay. Never even heard of them. Wow.
Yep, Kitchen Sink.
Great name for a publisher.
Yep.
Made in the kitchen. The artwork looks pretty good, though. Wow.
Well, Don Simpson. He's been doing it a long time. This is from 1989, so I actually went backwards again. But this is a book I only found out about within the last couple of years.
Now, how is it as a read, Scott?
Never read it.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Never read it. I just look at covers now. There's very few books I have time to read or choose to read over the last few years.
I agree with CJ. Kind of, you feel bad that they make a character named Yarn Man, and then he's in black and white with no color. It's kind
Yeah.
of,
Well, that costs money.
Yep. And I've got a, so if I would have picked this up off the shelf with a cover by, well, actually, I probably would have put it back down. It would have been a tough call back then because of it being black and white. I just have a hard time with black and white. So if it were polybagged and I saw it on the shelf, I would have picked it up, and then I would have been disappointed when I got home and opened it up and saw it was black and white.
Really, you don't like black and white comics?
I'm not a big fan of black and white interiors to read.
Okay,
Now,
so you don't like the old magazines and stuff like Savage Sword and Epic Illustrated and
no, I just have a hard time reading. I have a hard time reading anything now, but I have a hard time reading the black and white. But when it comes to the OA, I much prefer black and white artwork as opposed to the colored artwork. It's just kind of the opposite for me there. There's very little original art where I think the colored art is better than the original black and white.
right.
And the OA tends to be a lot bigger too.
Yeah. On average, it's probably 11 by 17.
Mm-hmm.
Some bigger, some smaller, but yeah.
Well, great book. So number 6, buddy.
All right. Again, in the odd vein,
Oh, Apocalypse Now. Homage.
hamster.
Clint, the Hamster Triumphant, from 1987.
Jeez, they were
from
just trying
Eclipse.
everything back then.
Yeah, this is again the Apocalypse Now. Homage cover.
I never heard of this book either.
No, vibrant though.
It's in the line of the radioactive mutant ninja gerbils. Everybody knows who they are, right?
Right, biker mice from Mars.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Clint was like the most badass kick-ass of the gerbils, and he got his own series. There's actually this is issue number 2. There's issue number 1, and it was Dark Knight Returns homage.
Oh, okay.
On issue 1.
Well,
But again, this is
homage. We don't see this one often.
a cover by. I've come across these I don't know how many times in dollar boxes when I'm diving.
Radioactive ninja hamsters.
Right.
Yeah, radioactive ninja. Yeah, radioactive ninja hamsters. But
Yeah, that's a great cover.
It's
I was a
something,
huge.
all right, Gary.
Well, I mean, it's instantly recognizable as Apocalypse Now. It's a good homage.
I just can't keep my eyes off from the whatever that's supposed to be.
Well, I remember back in the day it was adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters. That was another one.
Yeah,
Remember that
and that's where this same publisher.
Yeah, Eclipse Comics.
Yep. Yeah, and
I liked
Clint
a
was
lot
one of the
Eclipse
hamsters.
did. Eclipse had a good line of stuff out.
They did.
Sounds
But
derivative.
yeah, it's kind of a good Marlon Brando likeness there too, as the transvestite kingpin.
Right.
Ugh.
Yeah. Brando's later years when he was really packing the weight on.
Yeah,
But he had really good hair.
yeah, that's one way of putting it. But yeah, again, just another straight. The cover made me buy it.
I can see why.
It's just-
It pops.
And it evokes, the memories of watching Apocalypse Now. And this was back before movie homage covers were in every other title you saw.
Right. Yeah, now there's one on the shelf every week, it seems.
Yeah, or at least one.
All right, nice. All right, number 7.
Number 7, we have
Ah,
Oh,
yeah.
there we go.
Electric Company.
Oh yeah, I love the
That's
Spidey
neat.
magazine.
Spidey Super Stories number 1. Big Electric Company kid. You know, I just remember watching Electric Company, like it was yesterday almost. And
Got the DVDs.
and Easy Rider, Morgan, first appearance of Morgan Freeman in comics.
Nice.
So
Now, Scott,
again, that's
Mad.
main reason I love this book is not necessarily for the book itself, but because it takes me back to watching Electric Company when I was a kid.
right?
This came out, and I didn't realize how old it was. This came out in '74.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
happy
those are big
times.
nostalgia books. I have a couple here, especially the Spider Woman one is my favorite, and I got the Star Wars homage cover. But like you said, they take you back. The stories in them aren't great at all.
A few of them are pretty pricey. Like this one being a number 1 is one of the higher dollar ones, but there's several that are actually worth more than this because of the content. I think there's a couple of character first appearances that actually have meaning elsewhere in Marvel, and but yeah, I mean, any kid that doesn't have memories of watching Electric Company is missing out. That means they probably watch those fucking Power Rangers or something.
That's
That's
because
right.
everyone they got to be 50 or older like us, Scott, to remember Electric Company.
We even had it here in Canada. We watched that on Buffalo.
Now,
Buffalo
weren't you
Network.
upset though, guys, when they didn't have Spider-Man on an episode? You're like,
Yeah.
oh,
Absolutely. That was
Yep.
like highlight of the thing. I didn't
Exactly.
care about going bad.
That's right.
right?
I want to see the
That's what your
cartoon.
episode is when you don't have Spider-Man.
That's right. I want to see him over the ocean firing his web up into the sky.
That's
Trying to figure out
just,
how,
I did,
how,
just
how
holding
that
up
works.
holding up a sign so you can speak with his own word bubble.
Yeah, the only show where his mutant ability was silence. I was always mad he didn't talk. But yeah, great book,
Now,
Scott. I love the Spidey Super.
I don't understand on the movie poster. I'm not quite sure what that reference is for there. Now showing.
Oh,
Tarzan and the ape, but female versions.
So I married a 500-pound gorilla.
I don't know.
right.
Jungle Love.
You want to think it's King
Jane.
Kong, but it
King
wouldn't be
Kong
like
and
that.
Jane. Queen
Right,
Kong
and it
Jane.
kind of does look like a girl in a leopard print dress. So I don't know. Is it supposed to be a jungle girl or
Yeah.
what? But
Right, Shanna the She Devil. All right, number 8. That's a good book. I love the Spidey Super Stories. They're just fun.
all right, number 8.
Oh, man.
Super Magician. Oh,
Super Magician, Volume 3, Number 2. This is another book that put me down a rabbit hole.
Tanner.
Yes.
I got this book in a lot. I was after some Dell books, and it was somebody had a lot of old 10 centers, and this was just an ancillary book that just happened to be there.
but what a cover! Look at that.
That is wicked.
And after the fact, and I researched this book after I got the lot, I realized why it went so high was partially because of this book. This is one of the more expensive ones in the run because it's a good girl cover. It's a bondage cover.
Yellow dress in
it's-
distress.
It's purple. Any purple Golden Age book, for whatever reason, goes higher. I think purple was a harder color to print or reproduce. You just don't see a lot of purple Golden Age books.
Mhm.
But then after I read this book, okay, let me rephrase that. After I leafed through this book and researched it, I learned a lot about this publisher and the title. If you see, this is a wartime book. This was done in June of 44. And these jagged edges it has
Yeah, the raw pulp.
are actually because a
one
lot of
was-
these wraps were produced backwards.
Oh,
And instead of throwing the pages away, they cut them and just put them in the book or rip them. So these wraps and these tears all match up to the pages beside them just because of how the book was produced.
Oh wow.
So
has it got one
So-
staple in it, or is that a two stapler? I think they had one back then, right?
this one actually could have been no staples.
Oh,
But most of them were one during the wartime production. But Street and Smith is a publisher, and they are probably the worst or maybe the best at making sure that they used every page that they produced. They have a lot of their books that not every page is a full wrap. So there are loose pages stapled in.
wow.
Wow.
Because if they screwed pages up, they would just flip them over, cut them, put them in, and staple them. So you really got to be careful when you're buying Street and Smith books, and do a good page count, because it can literally be 2 pages off instead of 4. It's not like you're missing a full wrap. Could just be missing a single page.
Wow, that's
But
But
crazy.
again, I learned a lot from this book and a lot about the series. This was Al Baer was the artist on this one, and Walter Gibson is a writer who was a pretty famous magician back in the 20s and 30s, and he wrote the little series called The Shadow.
Might have heard of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, was
At one
the magician a good guy or bad guy? Because he looks like a bad guy there.
he's a good guy. So he's the guy over here trying to zap the guy with the knife.
Okay, I see him.
Oh, okay. He's not even front and
Yeah.
center.
Well, it's interesting. I
Yeah,
love
and
how,
it's sort of Blackstone the magician.
and I had a Blackstone the Magician magic kit when I was a kid growing up.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, magic set from was Blackstone the Magician. Remember that?
Wow.
But yeah, at one point in Gibson's career, I guess he had to produce so much material for the Shadow and Super Magician and everything else he was writing. He was writing up to like 10,000 words a day just to
Wow.
get his stories out.
So he was pretty prolific.
Yes.
I bet that
Yep.
book smells great.
Yeah, well, the whole shop does, because it's filled with stuff like this. So it's
Nice. Just
Yeah, you
permeates
can't
the
beat
air.
that old paper pulp smell.
We're going to find out
Yeah.
one day that Scott will be found dead in his warehouse having inhaled too many spores.
Wartime.
yeah. These have
stories.
lots of great wartime.
I'll say, look at the
know,
print. It's still
color's
so
amazing.
vibrant.
The pages look white too,
Yeah.
from a book from the 40s. Like, that's impressive. I have
The
ones from
Valley
the
of
50s that
Thunder.
don't look that good.
Right now, we can see the single
Yeah, single
single
page in
staple, and you can tell how this page was just folded over.
there. Oh yeah.
It's not cut or ripped out. They just folded it over and stapled it in because they weren't going to waste pages.
Right. Wow.
Isn't a lot of the Captain Marvel books, they were like that too?
Yeah. This does have a mothball smell to it.
Excellent.
Good stuff, Scott. Wow. All right, number 9, sir. That's a good book. That's hard to
All
find.
right. Next,
Aha.
Walking Dead 1.
Walking Dead #1. And I put this one in here kind of for an odd reason. Again, it's
To show your love of black and white comics.
because of memories or lost memories. This is a 9.8, by the way. This is back when I ordered from Diamond. October 2003. I ordered direct. I ordered like one of everything, just about. And if you've ever ordered from Diamond, you know you have to order at least 2 months in advance. So you get your second before you know whether you like the series or not. You've already ordered at least 2 books. So when I ordered this, I would have ordered issue 1 and 2 before issue 1 came in. And of course, it came in. It was black and white, and it fucking sucked. So, but I know I got issue 2, and I have this, and on the back is a covered issue 2. So I know I got issue 2, and I have this memory of giving issue 2 away to a friend who said they got issue 1 and 3, but somehow missed 2. I can't remember who it is though, and I can't remember if I just, made that memory up in my head, and it never really happened. So, but I do know it's black and white, and I hated it, and I never got another book. And somehow over the last 20 years, it stayed in my collection in boxes, and it stayed a 9.8.
Well, now they've got the deluxe ones, which are colored, so now you can go pick it up and read it.
Yeah.
I probably don't. I watched the show and didn't care for it either. But
Yeah, the show was the same thing every season.
Mm-hmm.
You have the original group out there fighting zombies. They meet a new group. Them and that group fight. They each kill a certain amount of each other off. Then those groups form together to take on a new group next season and do the same thing all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I threw this one in here, just because it's another one of those, I'll always remember the day I got it and remember I hated it. And
you're not alone, Scott. I mean, I picked that book
and
up
wonder
too.
where the fuck issue 2 went.
I picked that book up the same thing. I looked at it, saw it black and white, and I put it right back on the shelf.
Yeah, and if I wouldn't have, ordered direct and had to get these books in like that, it's worked out to my advantage on a lot of books where I, ordered sight unseen kind of and end up getting decent books. But then you got things like this. Well, hindsight, I should have stayed on with the series at least for another 8 or 10 issues and held on to them. But
right, but you didn't know at the time. See, I didn't know either, and I just put it right back on the shelf. My kids were in the store; they were buying books, and I thought, "Oh, I'm not going to buy this thing. It's just another zombie book." Because how many freaking zombie books were out back then? Like every week.
Right. How many times can it be done?
Exactly. And then the black and white threw me off right away. I liked the cover. I picked it up and I looked inside and I said, "Oh, nope, not for me."
And when it came in, I can remember I was actually pissed too because I thought the covered issue number 2 was really cool.
Yeah.
And there was nothing wrong with the cover issue number 1. But yeah, I just can't remember who this friend was that I gave it away to, or again, if I just, made that memory up in my head.
Well, maybe they watched on this show, or they might watch on the rewind. Who knows? They might come out of the woodwork and contact you.
And I was never a big zombies guy. I'm a werewolf guy.
Yeah. Well, there's one coming out tomorrow, isn't there? Cap Wolf or something?
Yeah, Cap Wolf. I think it's a 4 or 5 issue limited.
Yeah.
Pass. All right.
Number 10, sir.
The story.
Number 10.
I think it's funny you have a 9.8 and a black and white that you can't stand, though.
He likes the cover, he said.
There you go. Ooh, fun comics.
More fun, number 54.
Wow.
This was the first big book I ever bought.
That looks phenomenal too. Look at the color on that.
And this was 5.0 restored. I paid for the restoration. I actually sent this away to a professional restorer. His name was Tracy Heft. And paid to have that restored.
Nice.
So,
really.
And this was 25 years ago. Didn't know any better. I just knew it was, the third appearance of the Spectre.
That presents so well too.
Yeah, the third appearance of the Spectre is an old book. It was in bad shape when I got it. Had lots of glue and. He did a phenomenal job putting together 25 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
That would have been a book for Jerry the Jitterbug to do his conservation on.
And
I've never seen that cover. That's amazing.
yeah, and this is still one of, that covers in most people's top 10 list for most recognizable Golden Age covers.
Really?
Yeah. It makes a lot of lists. And it's by far my favorite cover.
It's great the way the motion on that cover is great, just with the flowing cloak and the fire in the background and
Bernard Bailey's the artist. I think Jerry Siegel, I think, did the Spectre story in it. And I've had several homages done of this cover by different artists.
Nice.
So I've had a couple of, or at least one actual sketch cover done, and I've had some artists do, 11 by 17. I had one artist do a mashup of this and Jonah Hex. So,
oh wow.
But yeah, I'll always remember, this being my first big boy book, I guess. I don't even remember what I paid for it now. Again, it was 20 some years ago.
Let's just say you paid $5 for it and move on, and that'll be your
sounds
memory.
right. There you go, 10 cents.
I know how much I paid to get it restored. I paid more for the restoration than I did for the book. I remember that.
That I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they do color touch and everything?
Yeah. He actually, it was trimmed and the spine was split and was glued together.
So it was
and
already
he
trimmed
actually
and got it.
added and recreated, and you can't even tell the entire, he was part artist the way he recreated what was missing.
Wow.
It looks seamless to me.
Yeah,
right, and you can see up here at the top where it's, and I think this was gone. He had to do some of his own artwork here on the Spectre logo. And that little pencil mark, he recommended leaving it. And I said, okay, you're the boss.
It's on yellow.
But yeah, I mean, it looks great. You can kind of tell on the back where the paper was added. So you can see the discoloration there.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's beautiful.
They probably did like Jerry with the leaf
Yeah,
casting.
some leaf casting.
Yeah.
Wow. Looks great, though.
Phenomenal book, Scott.
Yeah, so now all I need to do is find issue 52. I'll be good.
Now, what's the significance of 52, Scott?
At first appearance of the Spectre.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That's going to be a cheap book.
Right.
Yeah.
Two shekels.
In the last couple years, I've only seen one come up for sale, like on eBay, not counting like Heritage or whatnot. It was a coverless, and the guy wouldn't budge off of 10 grand.
Wow.
Damn.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yep. Golden Age is properly named. Gold.
Scott,
Yeah.
looks like you need to talk to Unruly. He says he sees them all the time. Either that or he's busting balls on you.
Yeah. We're not hanging out in the right spots then, I guess.
I think I got one in the giveaway bin over here, Scott.
Yes. I will make this week's episode of Only Slabs.
Great book though. It's the first time that's ever been shown on this channel. That's amazing. That is absolutely a gorgeous cover. And the Spectre, I always say it whenever I see him, he's just got such a simple yet iconic design to him.
Yeah, nothing flashy.
Yeah.
Right,
Who else
yeah.
wears Who else wears lapels with no shirt?
He's out to make a statement, Rob. All right,
Yeah,
now
I
number
just love
11.
how it's kind of got the King Kong fighting the planes,
It does.
actually standing on top of one plane down there. All the
Goliath.
Japanese soldiers running around.
Yeah, explosions in the background, and it's effective.
Yeah.
All right, 11 with a personal story, sir.
All right. That would be
Ooh.
Special edition.
special edition Spider-Man versus the Hulk. August 26th, 1979. So this was a giveaway. This particular one was in the Columbus Dispatch. And this happened to be 2 days before my 6th birthday. And I can remember going down to the newsstand with Dad to get newspaper, and didn't know that this book was in it. He just gave me 50 cents to go in and get the Sunday paper. And it was raining that day. And when I came out to get in the vehicle, just the way I was carrying the Sunday paper, this fell out and fell into a big puddle of water right at the, right in front of the car.
Oh, man.
And then I kind of reached down and grabbed it, and standing outside in the rain still holding it. And I remember, looking at Dad and saying, "Can I get another one?" So he first he told me just to go in and ask him if I could have one, so, which I did, and they said no. So then I went back out, and he gave me another 50 cents to go back in and buy the book. And right after I got this book, I got a mail order subscription to Hulk and Spider-Man. So I started getting those 2 books in the mail every week for probably the next 4 years. And until I outgrew comics and threw them all in a burning barrel. But this is actually the book that kind of started me on comics, when I was a kid.
And I was just looking that up.
This obviously is not the original book,
Right.
Because it's since its ashes have since made it to a landfill somewhere. But I picked up a couple of copies for the collection.
That's always
Nice.
cool.
And it's not badly priced. You can get that for $20 to $25 on eBay.
Back to school.
Yeah. Unless you're looking at super high grade, it's pretty reasonable. But it's just a small. I think it was only.
It's not even 30.
It's only 16 pages.
Okay.
Ad for underoos in the back. I'm sure this is what made me buy my first pair of underoos.
Spider-Man underoos.
Yep.
Scott actually had Wonder Woman underoos, but
Let's not go there.
And every time one of those special Spider-Man versus the Hog Jones stores he kept it.
16 pages and 8 pages of ads.
Yeah.
That was my. I have a couple of the 7-Eleven books that have Cap, Hulk, Spider-Woman, and Spider-Man in it, and it's a lot of ads in that too. But it's just fun to have.
But it's Sal Buscema art interior, but it's a Romita cover. And they did this for several papers. I know Chicago Tribune had at least one. I don't think it was this. I know it wasn't this cover. I don't know if it was the same story inside or not. And I think whatever the big paper in Baltimore is had one too. I seen.
Is it the Sun or I don't know. Anyways,
I had the Tribune stuck in my head, but yeah.
But yeah, I know for sure the Chicago Tribune had at least one.
Nice book though. See, I love this kind of stuff. I love these oddball things. They are like my favorite things. Like I'm the guy that buys all the stupid ones that were promotional ads and stuff, and like Smokescreen with Spider-Man, Storm, and Luke Cage. Like I buy all that.
No, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, okay. I got a bunch of those.
All right.
But nice book. All right, now your spec pick, Scott.
All right.
Specking with Hoarders Hide.
A special edition. Oh yeah, Buddy Mask.
There we go. Great
Buddy
story.
Mask.
Yes.
Has to be.
Yes.
I put all my eggs on this fucking book. They're all in one big basket.
No pun intended.
In the Buddy basket.
This is my wishful thinking spec book. So not only do I have way more issues of this book than any one person should, I've got lots of art from it. So if this,
I love
this were
both
to blow up,
miniseries, Scott. They're both great.
yeah, and then the Bunny Mask Tales from the Free Comic Book Day. I mean, that's a lot of people never even read that one.
I didn't even know there was one. Now I got to track it down.
Yeah, it was Free Comic Book Day, not last year before. So yeah, I've literally got a pile of about 60 sitting right here beside me, just of this cover, and then I don't know where they're all spread around throughout here. I've got a lot of these.
Did you send any off to get graded?
I've got a 9.8 of almost every one right now. And there's like 20 variants for issue number 1.
Yes, there is.
There's a lot.
I've got a one of the BCW plastic Mylar plastic bins filled with Bunny Mask 9.8s.
Going hard on it.
And again, they're probably not even worth the cost of grading. Most of them.
It's such a good. I don't know. I love the story. I really do.
Well, and this was the first modern-ish, I guess, since I got back into it again, the first story I actually read. I was just collecting art and and doing cover buys, but when I heard people talking about this little girl getting her teeth chipped out on the first page, I'm like, well, I got to see what the rest of this is all about, and then I was hooked on it.
Oh, it's such an odd story, but it works so well.
Yeah. I'm really sad that they, didn't continue. That they, Aftershock had their blow up, bankruptcy, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, it's too bad. They have such good stories.
Still not paying artists or whatever the hell the case may be. But
that covers.
Hopefully, there's a resurgence of this title at some point for some reason.
Well, I can't see someone else not picking up that IP. That book was heavily talked about.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. I mean, of course, everything a couple years ago was heavily talked about because that's all people had to do was
everything was spec.
Sit around and wear a mask and talk about comics because they couldn't go anywhere.
Bunny Mask was a little different though because I mean that hit differently when that one came out.
Nobody knew what it was about. That was the thing.
Yeah.
I just remember, I didn't read it, but I just remember listening to all the talking heads talk about how they love the book, but they don't know what it's about. And I'm like, how can you love a book and not know what it's about?
They haven't solved the whole mystery yet. If you read the second series, it sheds some more light on it, but it still gives you more to explore.
That sounds
hollow inside.
The real thing I want to know is this C3? Are we going to have Scott cut out one of these masks and wear this bunny mask?
There will not be any more pink Power Rangers. I know that.
That's fine. I don't care about Power Rangers.
I don't know. I've got enough of them. I could probably spare one.
Yeah, 9/8 goes to 50.
That's my wishful thinking spec book.
And
I think that's the definition of every spec book, really.
Yeah.
Like it rereads well. Like it's fun to go back to.
Yeah, and I've passed around the trade paperback to people, and some of them, they tell me they read it, and I'm sure they haven't, but I know a few people that have read it, and they just when they hand it back to me, they like, how can you like that?
Right, and it's one of those stories too, where the art matches perfectly with the narrative.
It would be a totally different story if it wasn't didn't have Andrea's art in it. I think.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't be
as effective.
Just wouldn't be the same.
Have some wild books.
Yeah, great books, Scott. Thank you.
I tried to get a little diverse selection instead of going all gold or all whatever. But
I know you had a limited selection to pick from, so I appreciate you getting a few of them together.
There's a lot more limited time to dig them out.
I don't think did he even show a single Dell book?
No, not this time. We'll have to have a special 10-1-1 Dell version with Scott. All he does is show Dells.
I could do that. Yeah, I could definitely pull out 12 Dell books, and I know the spec book right now I'd pull out. So
wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dell has a lot of books that should be spec books. Rob has a couple.
You know what? Well, let's try to get you back in December with a Dell edition of this.
That'd be cool.
That would probably give me enough time to dig some out.
All right. Well, I'll get to you with a December date.
Okay.
And we'll try doing it on Tuesday, and I'll have both of these guys back.
Perfect. I want to see some Dell.
All right, because I know Steve's a big Dell guy. But
yeah,
no, those are spectacular, Scott. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
I thoroughly enjoyed seeing every one of those books. They're all cool and they're all unique.
I actually had fun just kind of sitting down and thinking which books I was going to pull out. Because I was thinking about it last week. I'm like, oh man, it's coming up next week. I got to get some books ready. And then I'm thinking, well, shit, I can just grab 10 books from beside me 5 minutes before the show and get by with it. And I thought, no, let's put a little time in.
Yeah.
Let's pick out some good books. And
it was worth it. You picked some good ones. It was good cross section. And I like that it's distinctive to your taste, which is what it's about,
Yeah, and I wanted to try and avoid doing the slabs, but then again, there are books that really, that had good memories, or at least memories I could remember behind them. So,
it doesn't matter. All books are welcome. It's just what's important to you.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. I like seeing that you've gone down one or two rabbit holes, but I wouldn't have guessed any of that from all your inventory.
Yeah, lots of rabbit holes, unfortunately, or fortunately.
Right. But there's a fun, though. I mean, when you're a collector, you always need a chase, right?
Yep. Goals. Baby.
Right.
Goals.
Yeah, now that I've got the Super Magician run finished, I don't know, what's my next. I've got more runs I'm working on.
What about,
do I just stick with them, or do I add another one?
Any original art you're chasing right now?
Not. It's all crimes of opportunity. Nothing. I don't really have a Grail art piece or anything of that nature. It's just somebody. It's usually Mark, Legion of Comics. He'll send me a message and he'll say, "Hey, Spectre's in this issue of this book in a couple months." So then I'll see if I can find the artist or find the rep, and see if I can snag a page from it.
Nice.
And I just watch the sites for any old pages to pop up. And I randomly got the cover for I think it was issue 18 from that Spectre Volume 3 that the artist had been sitting on since the 90s and decided to let go.
Now, do you find the original art, the cost of it's pretty steady, like the same kind of cost, or is it all over the place?
It's so random, and for so many different reasons. You can still find what I think are good pages for $50 or less. That have, maybe not a mainstream character, but it's good art. And then you'll find art that I wouldn't hang on my wall that people were paying 4 figures for because of the artist or because of the content. And if you want to talk art that everybody knows, like Jim Lee's 90s X-Men or Todd McFarlane or anything like that, they're just crazy numbers.
Right.
Then go back into the Silver Age and any, Romita stuff.
How was the Andrea Muti art when you got that?
I'm sorry, what?
How was the Andrea Muti art when you got that?
I'm jury's still out. Andreas reps himself. He sells himself. He's not a big fan of art reps, so the price is what he puts on it, and that's just what you pay. So I bought enough of it. Must have been okay with it. Right. Although I have that, addictive disorder where it was hard to stop. And when I started picking up the covers, it was even harder. Mm-hmm. So I'm to the point now. There's only 2 Bunny Mask covers I don't have that Andrea did.
Well, you think at this point he just send them to you and say thanks for all the support?
Here's a couple of freebies.
He sends me a free signed book with every page. So
that's
I'm
nice.
sure he does that for everybody.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We're going to go around the horn here, see what everyone's got coming up. Rob, what's coming up for you, sir?
Wednesday I'll show up on Chris's channel to show off what we got. But Thursday at my channel, we'll have a mystery box unboxing from Cliff Comics. And then Saturday, it's only slaps. Let's see, this Saturday, I'm trying to remember who off the top of my head we have on the show. I don't remember. I have a guest.
There you go.
Oh yeah, it's Nesbelthar. I think I'm pronouncing it right. I don't know. He reached out to. He doesn't have an Instagram, but he reached out to me through email after watching the show. Wanted to be on the show. He sent me over some pictures, and you'll notice if you look at the thumbnail to know whether or not you want to see this episode. He's holding 3 Batman ones.
Oh
wow.
They're all original. So he's got some books.
Right.
Sounds like it.
Then of course I'll be making appearances all over the place over the next starting Saturday. I'll be like on Spine Ticks to promote Comics Curing Cancer as we come into the final stretch and coming up on Comics Curing Cancer just now, less than 2 weeks away.
Yeah, excellent.
Yes, it is.
Be here before you know it.
All right, coming up for me this week, in 2 days' time, we have Scott Polachek on live from New York Comic Con. We're talking about Marcus 1 from Swolger Publishing that he's written. And that I've got to read an advanced copy of. It's a good book, so I can't wait to talk about that. And then we have me and Dan on this Friday night. We're doing a preview show of what's going to be up for prizes for our C3, the 1011 on October 20th. So we'll be showing those prizes on the 13th of what you can win if you make a donation during our live show. And then we have Eddie, Old Man Eddie on the 17th, and Digger Jim on the 19th doing episodes of the 1011. And Steve, you got anything coming up? You got an appearance on Joe's channel this week, right?
Yeah, Friday on Anachronic Comics. We're going to do the Espresso mail call. So we're going an hour early that night, too. So it'll be 8 o'clock, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Cool. Yep.
And then, Scott, what's coming up for you, sir?
The only thing I have coming up for sure is I have not comic related, but I've got 40 graded cards
Ooh, wow.
to unbox and do kind of a deep dive in on this new tag grading company. So I cheated. I know what they all are graded, but they're still sealed, and they actually put every graded card inside of what looks like a wax pack. So you are physically opening a pack and pulling out the card out of it.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
That is
So
cool.
that's kind of designed for unboxings in a way. But I'm going to be opening that and going over some of the grades and looking at the deep dive of why it got graded, what it did. They do some really cool stuff. I wish comics were graded this way, so it'd be a lot easier to know why a book graded the way it did.
I mean, extensive graders notes.
I you can see it on the show, Rob, but I'll send you a link. They actually do some they high resolution imaging with some sort of
call outs.
Somewhat way they do a reverse. It's almost like a reverse negative. I don't know how they filter it, but it's almost like it embosses the image, and it pops every dent, every pit, every ruffle on the edge, and then they go through and circle it, and they give you a grade out of 1,000, and that's how they translate it to what your card grades. And they grade the front and the back. They grade the corners, the surface, and then average it. And I mean, so when you say, "Oh, well, that's an 8. Why is it an 8?" And they say, "Oh, well, there's all these little microscopic pits that you couldn't see, but they're there."
No, the grading company's just being mean to me, Scott. That's the only reason why. Don't they know?
Yeah, I've got a few cards that are graded by other companies. I'm going to crack them out and send them in.
Interesting.
Just to see.
You could do like before and after graded, like a 9.9 near mint with this company, and then see what it gets with the new company.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the cards are most companies. They don't do the 0.8s, 0.6s. They're all a half point across the board.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So they got
Tag doesn't do a 9.5. They do 9, and then they jump to 10.
Okay.
But yeah, I've got some cards that are 8s or 9s. I'm going to send in just to see what Tag puts on them and why they put it there and how close it is to the other companies.
Nice.
Well, that sounds like a good show, sir.
Very cool.
Yeah, it'll be boring as hell because most of these cards are all the same. I don't have very many that are worth grading. I sent in a bunch that I have original. I sent in some comic cards,
right?
Because I have the original art of that card. So I just wanted a graded card to go with the art.
That makes sense.
That's what brought this rabbit hole on.
There's always a story.
We're going to have to get you a T-shirt that says "Rabbit Hole Fully Engaged."
It's rabbit season.
Just see you getting sucked down like this.
I'll have to work that into the Hoarders Hide logo somehow.
There you go. Well, Scott, thank you so much. I want to thank the audience. We had a great audience here tonight to support Scott. Everyone's links are in the description below, so please go follow and subscribe and follow everybody. Rob, thank you for being my co-host tonight. Steve, thanks for coming on as an extra co-host. I appreciate you guys. And Scott, great show, man. Thank you for being a guest. And we'll get you on again, let's say December-ish, and we'll do a rabbit hole with Dell with you on 10 books.
Sounds good. Appreciate you having me on, Gary.
It was a pleasure, but it had been a while. I'm like, I haven't talked to Scott in a while. Let's get him back on the show. But it's been a great time. I wish I had felt better for you. But guys, as I like to end all these, keep it casual.